Hello everybody, welcome back to the Bison Workshop. I'm Bob, and today we're going to work on the Logan lathe, Black Beauty. And what we're doing today is we're going to start our DRO install for the lathe. And in this video I'm just going to show you how to do the let's see, I can't never remember. I think it's X this way, Y, and then Z is up and down. So we're gonna do this direction and put our DRO on it. Now I've already pre-cut everything and I've already installed it, but I wanted to show you step by step as to what I did. So I'll set you up over here. But before we start, just like to say, let you guys know that I ain't had a cigarette today. I ain't happy about it, but I'm wearing the patch. Had to wear it on my leg because I couldn't wrap an ace bandage around my arm because I couldn't do it by myself. So I wrapped it around my leg right here and just wrap the ace bandage around it so that I can hold it on. I have a habit of sweating right where the patch is and then it just falls off. So I asked my doctor for an ace bandage, so she gave me one, and I just wrap it around to hold it on. And don't forget to have your Trump coffee. And we'll set you up here behind the lathe and show you what we got behind here. And we'll go from there. All right, so what we have here, there's really not a whole lot of options as to how to install this. You got basically one option. I didn't want to drill into this, so that would have put me too far away from the back here, and I want this here rail to ride as close to the edge of this or as close to the ways as possible. So what I did was, I'll take this off and I'll show you what I did. There's 3 bolts on the bottom here that is 7/16 head, and basically what I did was just took these out. I figured out where I needed to put it, and well, I'll show you the bracket before I take this off. I had to make this bracket right here, and this is the bracket we're going to use on it. And basically this mounts like that on the back, and then that will go up in there just like that. So what I did was I took this plate off here, and basically I just drilled and tapped for the bracket to mount on there. So, and I made it so it can be adjusted in and out. Alright, so then I had some really nice 6mm by 1.0 thread bolts or screws with Allen head screws, and we just basically mounted that right on this here bracket. And these are short enough that it doesn't go all the way through. So we put these screws in, and when you do this, you don't want to tighten these up. If I can ever get the thread to start. Let me find my Allen wrench here. So we'll just tighten that down and then back it off to where it'll move. So see, you can move it back and forth now. So then I mounted this on here. So give me a minute here. I'll try to get these screws in. They're really short, and I almost didn't have enough room for them. Because this aluminum is so thick. So we'll get that started. And the same thing with that. You just tighten them down and then loosen them up so that they'll slide. So it's a little awkward to work behind here. So this here, basically, we want this. I wanted this to be level with the bottom of that bracket. So this is level right here. So then we'll tighten that up. Now this is the only thing you're going to tighten up right away. Alright, so then we've got that loose. So now we'll take this and put it back up. And make sure that you got this going in the right direction, because minus is going to be backward in this direction towards the tailstock, and positive is going to be, or plus is going to be towards the headstock. So this, we just tighten it up just snug so that you can still move. So we want to tighten that until you can't hardly, till it's got a little bit of a drag to it. Alright, so now we've got that installed. So now what we'll do is, what I did was on the back side of here, I drilled and tapped the hole here for the same screw, because I got a bunch of them and I wanted to use the same screws. And then I just took and milled out this slot to a bigger, so that the 6mm bolt will go through it. So now we're going to back this up until this hole lines up. Alright, and then we're not going to tighten it down either. We're just going to snug it. Alright, and then we're going to back it all the way up. We want to keep it loose enough to where this will move. Then we're going to back this all the way up. I've got my tailstock all the way to the back. And then we're going to bump this tailstock with the saddle. So now we've got this side where it should be. So now we're going to tighten it up. Then you want to bring the saddle all the way forward. All the way as far as it'll go. Alright, now we'll go ahead and put our next screw in on this side. And then we'll tighten it up, because now we know that this side is the same height as the back side. So now we can go ahead and tighten that up. Now we know that it's right up and down. Now we got to make sure it's right this way. So we know that it's close, and this is it's not flexing much on this end. So we know that the head is straight. So then we'll just go ahead and tighten up these 2 screws that holds the bracket on. And then tighten the other one up. Alright, so now we've got it installed. And there really ain't a whole lot you can do about the wire. You're just going to have to deal with it the best way you can. And make sure you got enough travel. So now, I'll back you up here and I'll show you this thing in operation. So now we've got it working properly. And we've got enough wire here. I'm going to do some other stuff here once I get the other one in place for this way, for the compound, or not the compound, but the cross feed. And then we'll run them 2 wires together, and then I'll put a wire loom over it, and then we will pin it down wherever we need to, so that we have plenty of wire to go in both directions. And then what I did was I found this bracket, and what this bracket was a bracket that you use to mount a winch where the cable comes through and has the rollers on it, because the rollers would have went right here on these 2 holes right here. And I just took me a piece of aluminum, and I did get it crooked. Ain't a whole lot I can do about it. Anybody looking that close don't need to be looking anyway. And I've got to turn this fan on, guys. It's a little warm in here. So now this one here is the one for this axis, x-axis, and then this one's going to be for y-axis. So we're going to make some markings over here on this side somewhere and show which axis it is. So I'll probably 3D print something just to stick there, a plate. So and then have raised letters, and then I'll take some paint and then paint the letters to say X and Y. And so now we're going to zero that, and I've got it all the way back to the tailstock. So we'll zero that, and I'm going to move the tailstock, the saddle, towards the headstock. And this is going to tell us how many inch piece that we can turn. And that's about, I think it's like 19 inches. Let me see here, let me get my tool on here. So we can turn a 21-inch piece. So as you can see, we've got the tool all the way up to the chuck as far as I would be comfortable with getting close to. So this is basically the tool that takes up the most room. So we're going to be able to turn a 20-inch or 21-inch piece. So as you can see, it's changing. Now, we did the same thing to the mill, as you can remember, and I think this will work out pretty nice. These are magnetic. I didn't like those brackets that came with it. I think those brackets that come with it's about the flimsiest damn thing you ever want to see. And I'm almost ashamed to even have them in my shop. They're so flimsy. And I could have mounted them up there and they would have swiveled, but I didn't really want them to swivel. I wanted them right here so that it's right in front of me so that I can see what's going on. So we'll go ahead and turn that off so I ain't running my battery dead. And I wanted to put one on the tailstock, but that's not going to happen. Simply because this here is just round. There's really no way to put a bracket on this like I did on my Grizzly. You can't do that on this one because this one here has to go back in further in order to get the chuck out. So by the time you get it to where you can get the chuck out, I got tape on it right now because of I was using it as a measurement with my calipers. So right there is as far as it'll go back. Now once I go a little bit more, the chuck will be out. So this is all we really have to work with. But when I go to use my tail or my live center, it's a little different. It goes further in before it will release the live center. So there's really no way to put anything on here. So we're just not going to be able to put anything on the tailstock. And I'll put you up here on a tripod. So I think that'll work just fine, just the way it is. And the reason that you start by putting your tailstock or your saddle all the way back is so that you can find out where you want to mount the screw on this back bracket. Then we know that's going to be the right height. So then you move it all the way forward to where you're going to be, and then you can go ahead and put that screw in. Once you get that screw in and tighten it up, we know it's parallel all the way across, because this height here on the saddle didn't change. The only height that changed was the height of the rail. So now we know that both the front and the rear are the same height. And then once you get it done, then you just go ahead and run this in all the way to the end of either end. You could use this end or this end, and then you tighten that bracket up, and then it will ride parallel. And if I can get you in here, I can show you how close it is to the lathe. See, I've got the let me back this up a little bit. As you can see, we have just enough room to miss the screws that's holding this head to the bracket, and that'll work. So it's nice and tight against the back of the lathe, and that'll pretty much end part one. Part two is going to be putting this one on. And this one's going to be just a little bit more difficult. Let me bring you over here and I'll show you what we're going to do to part two. So basically what I'm going to have to do is make a bracket that goes down inside here. This will also help to keep stuff off of here, but it doesn't really matter. This is all going to be covered anyway. Basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to make me a bracket that will mount to these two screws here, because what these two screws are for, or is what I've been using it for, is for this thing that got all deformed. I don't know why it got deformed like that, but we're not going to use this no more anyways. So basically that just goes on there like that, and it was keeping stuff from going down on my lead screw. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a bracket that's shaped just like this, same pattern, and then we're going to bend it down to meet this, and then we'll have a screw that holds that in place, and it'll be level with the top of this. And then we're going to make a bracket that goes on the bottom here, and so that it'll hold the head, and then basically that will just go in there just like that right there, so to speak, just like that. So in the next video we'll make the bracket for that, and I'll probably put a stop on this thing so that it don't go very far, and basically just drill a hole here as close to the end as possible, because we don't want, well, it's never going to go any further than that right there anyway, but we've got all this distance to go from here down, or to the end. So then we'll make us, after we get the bracket made, we'll make another, or we might even be able to put this on top of it and use the screws to hold this on top of it. But I'm gonna make me another one of these. I don't like this one. It's rolling up, and look, this thing's been on there for years. Ever since I got this lathe, I made that. I don't really like this sticking out like this, but you're really not going to get, you're not going to get away from that. You're going to have this sticking out over here on this end, right here. So I'm probably still going to have to drill holes in this and tap it for the screws to hold the bracket on. The ideal way would have been to put it over here, but this lathe, you can't do that. It's not like my Grizzly, the old Grizzly I had, which I miss. So this will be part 2 of the DRO install for the Logan lathe. This is a 19, I think 47 or 46 lathe. She's a oldie, but it's still a goodie. The only thing I don't like about this lathe is the fact that the spindle bore is only 3/4 of an inch, and my Grizzly was a 1 inch. I missed that part because all my stock is 7/8 stock. So I can't turn anything like this if I needed to thread, or, well, I don't thread on my lathe anyway, but if I wanted to turn a shank on the end of this, I'd have to put it in live center and turn it out here, instead of sliding it all the way in and turning it up here. So that's the only bad thing about this lathe, is the fact that the spindle bore is so small. So there you have my install of the saddle DRO rail, and we're halfway there. We've got the top one done, and now we're going to, the next video we'll do this part here. So at least I have an extra head and rail. Who knows what I can use it for. I don't see me needing anything for the drill press, because anything that needs to be precision will be done on the mill anyway. So there you have it. Bison's way of putting DRO on the old 47 Logan lathe. And don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe. You guys have a good one. Later.